Hello everyone. I'm going to give you a short Excel tutorial. This is meant for people that use Excel to do simple calculations or for our math classes to look at some graphing. So if you open up Excel, the first thing you should notice is that your menu may not look the same as mine. It all depends on what version you have. I'm using an older version here of Excel. You can go about Excel and figure out I'm using version 15, but this is on a Mac. So, a PC, your menus may be a little different. So there's a few things I always like to do. If you look at your menus, if you view the ribbon, that is going to be this set of menus here. And the formula bar, you want to view that. Make sure those two are checked, and I also like normal layout. If you do that, you're going to always get this menu, and you're always going to get this formula bar, which is very important. So that's the first thing. Second thing are sheets and the zoom function. So you'll see that every Excel table right here is a sheet, and in the bottom left-hand corner it says sheet 1. I can add a sheet, which is, imagine it's just a layer. It's almost like a sheet of paper. So I'm looking at a sheet of paper here. If I add another sheet, you see it's blank. And so I can, when I save the file, it will save all of the sheets. So you can have multiple sheets and multiple work and jump between these sheets. So if I go back to sheet 1, the one I'm working on, that's what you see here. I like to use the zoom function a lot because if I'm working here, in the bottom right corner over here, the zoom, and you see I can zoom in and out, and I can get it just about the right size that I want. And I can also take cells if I want to, like that, and move them around. So every little square that you see here is a cell. And so when I talk about that, that's how we're going to refer to data that we use here. So when you enter numbers and text into a cell, there's a few things you have to notice, and that is when you enter text like hello, that is left justified. You see it's all the way over onto the left. If I add a number like 3, that one, I think I had text there before. Let's say I go over here 3. It gets right justified. So I had something here I was playing with a few moments ago. Typically numbers, if you don't change the formatting, are right justified. Text is left justified. I had actually done all of that before. So you can come up here and you can change anything left and right and so forth. So that's one thing you should always remember. Left justified, right justified. I can clear things out of here real quick. I just like to do a right click and clear. So formatting cells, centering, and cell type. If I say I want hello and I want to format, you've got all the tools up here for making and formatting and making the font bigger and all kinds of things. So if you just keep this menu open here, you can do all kinds of things with your cell. Okay, so let's get into the math part of this, which is the most important. How do I enter equations and how do I deal with data in an Excel spreadsheet? The first thing is the way we enter text is we can just start typing and enter text. But if I want to enter something like 2 and I want it to be text, I put a little quote in front of it, and then I can say 2 cases, something like that, and it thinks it's text and it doesn't think it's a number. And otherwise, it's gonna know the difference between numbers and texts. If I want to do a formula, I must start with an equal sign. So I do equal 2 times 4, and we use, for the multiplier, we use the star, and we use this, the little slash on the bottom right of your keyboard for a division. So 2 times 4 divided by 3, hit return, and what you see is the result of that equation. Now here's where the formula bar comes in very tricky, very important. What you're seeing here, that number, I didn't type in 2.66. That's the result of the formula that's in that cell. And how do I know the formula? I come up to the formula bar and there it is right there. So anytime I hover over a cell, if I hover over a cell here and it's text, you see the formula bar just shows the text. If I hover over an actual formula, the formula will show up in the formula bar and the value for the formula is what goes in the cell. So that's really important because we can do all kinds of things. So how do I do exponentials? Equal, let's just say I want to do 2 to the third power. I use the caret sign, which is on the top of your keyboard along with the number 6. 2 to the third power, hit return, and that's 8 because it's 2 times 2 times 2. If I want to do log functions, let's say I want to do the log, I use parentheses of 2. There it is, 0.301. If you type that in your computer, in your calculator, you would get the same thing. How about if I want to do natural log? I do ln of 2. There's the natural log. And I can even do the exponent of 2, which is e to the x, and that's another thing. So again, if I want to do 3 up arrow 23 minus 210, there's my answer, and it's a pretty big number. Okay, so finally let's work on how do we put together a table of data. So let's say I want to make a table of points, x's and y's. So these are x's and y's in a table, and I'm going to create an equation. So typically when we plot, I like to do like -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Those are the values I would use for x. Now over here, I'm going to calculate the value of y based on an equation. So let's look at this last bullet I have here, and that is I'm going to do it with these equations. So the first equation I'm going to do is y equal 2x minus 2. So I'm going to do y equals 2x minus 2. I'm just putting this here as text so we can see it. So in this cell right here, I want to put the equation to give me the value for y that is 2x minus 2. Well, this is the x right here. So the way I do this formula is do equal 2 times the x is in this cell, so I just click this cell and you see that it's C12. Why is it C12? It's in column C, row 12. So the way Excel does this is C12 refers to the value in that cell. 2 times C12 is 2x minus 2 and hit return, and there it is, -6. So if I took 2 times -2, I would get -4, subtract 2, and I get 6. Now, I don't have to type that in every time. All I need to do is copy. I can do up here copy paste. I just do it with my keyboard, but I do a copy and then I drag it down to those cells and then I do a paste, and it pastes all the values in there really nicely. Let's say I want to pretty this up. Maybe I want to center it. It looks good. Now how about graphing? Here's how I do the graphs. I pick the labels at the top, the x and the y, and the data. And then when I come over here is I do the insert. And when I do the insert, if I come over here, I start to see some graphs. And I like this little one with dots, which is the XY scatter. I come down to that and I do the scatter one with a line. And I like to see the data, my little dots. And I click that and there it is. There is my XY scatter of the line. So I'm going to get rid of this. We'll start over. I'm just going to dump that. I'm going to get rid of these. I'm going to clear this out. We're going to start over. Let's do the next one. Y equals x squared minus 4. So I'm going to come over here and say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. X squared minus 4. That's what my equation is going to look like. So it's equal. This thing is the x. Up arrow 2 means C12, the value of C12 cell, square it, subtract 4. There's the number. Copy, paste down to here. Grab all that, come over, do an insert, scatter plot, there's your parabola. So a second order equation has one dip in it, and there's a really nice looking parabola. We say that that parabola holds water, but that is the equation y equals x squared minus 4. And finally, let's do a cubic function. So this is going to be y equal x cubed minus x. And I'm going to get rid of this one here, clear that out, equals this cubed minus this again. So again, it's C12, there's the x value, cube it, minus the x value. There I go, copy, down, paste. This one's going to look a little odd, but let's, do the whole thing. I do an insert. Once again, come over here, look at the graph, and there it is. And a cubic function has usually 2 waves to it. Up wave, down wave, and back up again. It's got a couple little dips in it. So there's a cubic function. x cubed minus x. Pretty cool. So there you go. That's all you need to do. You can click on these charts like that, and you can do all kinds of things with borders and making the, you can click on the actual line and right click and change the grid lines and the colors. There's all kinds of things you can do to make your charts pretty, but I hope you found this helpful. And this is just a really simple tutorial to get you going with how to use Excel. I use it all the time. I use it constantly for equations. I don't even use a calculator anymore. I just open up Excel and I come to a cell. I type the equal sign and I write my equation in there. Even if I'm doing just numbers and I say, oh, I just want to calculate 123 divided by 34, and there it is right there real quick. So I do this all the time. I hope you found this helpful. Thanks.